Yes, Bianca. Good. Okay, Afropostria VFS Belgium, BPHS Bulgaria, CPS Croatia, CUSA Cyprus, CZPS Czech Republic, TORS Estonia, FIPSA Finland, ANEP France, BPHD Germany, GPSF Greece, IPSA Ireland, SFD Lithuania, MPC North Macedonia, K.N.P.S.V. the Netherlands, NOPSA Norway, PPSA Poland, APF Portugal, FASFR Romania, NAPSA Serbia, SPS Slovakia, SUSF the Slovenia, FEF Spain, SNAP Sweden, ASEP Switzerland, UPSA International Turkey, and BPSA United Kingdom. I have 24 voting members. Yes.
And I resume the standing orders.
Okay, now we can continue with the next point on the agenda. That is the reports of the External Relations Department. First, we will have the reports of the Vice President of External Relations. So we will have the report of Sanziana to cover her part of mandate and the report of Ruben to cover his part of mandate. I believe we do not have Sanziana with us, so the questions for her might be answered by Mihai or Ruben. Now I open the floor for questions. KNPSC?
Kathy, KPC Netherlands. I was wondering if you feel like external representation is way more difficult because of the pandemic, or if you've also experienced any benefits to it because now it's online and you don't have to travel. So in some cases, it might also be beneficial since you can be at several places, like at once or not at once, but close together. Thank you.
Ruben?
Ruben, VPER, thank you for your question. I would say it's not as beneficial as the live one, especially because in the live one you can attend the event and then you can do networking afterwards and you can exchange cards. So live, it's probably, even though you can attend more, they're less impactful and it's harder to reach people, I would say.
Thank you. Now I have Apef.
Luciano Pef, Portugal. Since the IMP had dropped, what ideas or strategies do you have in mind in order to still provide some internship opportunities to students, considering that IMP was the project that would allow that to happen? Thank you.
Ruben?
Ruben Viegas, VPER. Thank you, Luciano, for the question. When we discussed this, we discussed that nowadays there are many platforms and there are many associations that already provide this kind of internships. So I believe that the best strategy would be to find different networks or associations that provide this type of internships and then try to collaborate. Because in this case, we had the whole structure to do just one project when we can have the network that give us access to this kind of internships. I hope I replied. If not, you can contact me.
Thank you. Now I have FSFR.
Miruna FSFR Romania. You stated in your report that communication with LSs regarding job opportunities need to be established in a more structured way. How would a future VPER tackle this situation? Thank you.
Ruben?
Ruben Viegas, Vice President of External Relations. Thank you for the question. When I said this, because I got some offers that came to me, to my email individually, and I thought it could be interesting to send to the LSs to share with you. And maybe this could be a good practice. So when I wrote this, I was thinking of this, creating some kind of best practice. So when someone has an international opportunity, then shares with the group, for example, in one email thread. But more than that, it would need to be, like I was saying to Luciano, on this aspect of finding a network that could also serve as a sharing, because indeed it's probably more about sharing opportunities than creating them.
Thank you. Are there any more questions for the report of Vice President of External Relations? I see none, so I believe we could move on to the report of Central IMP Coordinator. I open the floor for questions. SSFD?
Sanja, SSFD Slovenia. Can you elaborate on the possible ideas about the alternative projects for the IMP that you are mentioning in your report?
Alexandra?
Alexandra, Central IMP Coordinator. It was kind of ideas to, yeah, I hope you can hear me. It was kind of ideas that we were discussing like between department and also during the OEM with Susanna. It was mostly focused on the, creating like the second, like actually not creating, but keeping this coordinator for the department. And but at the end, like the ideas were dropped. So that's all.
Thank you. Now I have Asip.
Elena Asad, so you mentioned that you want to make a survey for the NIMS. Do you already have an idea what could be the reasons why they don't find placements and how you could improve that?
Alexandra?
Alexandra, Central IMP Coordinator. I guess it was the survey like before we were doing for NIMS to know their opinion on the working on action groups. So, but now there is no it's not necessary to make any survey because it's like pointless in this point, I guess.
Thank you. Now I have KNPSV.
Kati, KNPSV Netherlands. In your report, you're mentioning that you want to have one more online training for the NIMS. So I was kind of wondering if you were still planning to do this since it's been dropped.
Alexandra?
Alexandra, Central IMP Coordinator. Yes, I'm still planning to have this meeting, like training with NIMS, just to gather all together and have just fun as a team. And what else? Also, if like in a way that IMP is dropped, I'm planning just to conclude all the project and to share something about it, like instead of IMP days.
Thank you. Now I have Apif.
Luciana Apif, Portugal. I just would like to know why you tried to establish only one contact with a possible IMP partner and not more. I know that the contact was established, which was good, but wouldn't be beneficial to establish more contacts. Thank you.
Alexandra?
Alexandra, Central IMP Coordinator. This year we were also much more focused on the restructure, which didn't happen. Yeah, I can say that our focus was much more on the different topics. So that's why it was like this. Also, there was no approach from NIMS this year. And I can say that we had also some approach from company. I think that, yeah, Ruben had some, and at the end, there was no interest. So we agreed that project is not that efficient.
Thank you. Now I have SFD.
Nida, SFD Lithuania. I would like to ask you, Alexandra, were you generally satisfied with how active the NIMS were throughout your mandate? And do you have any ideas how to make them more committed, more involved, more active? Thank you.
Alexandra?
Alexandra, Central IMP Coordinator. Actually, I was really happy about the NIMS activity during our meetings, and I was surprised actually. And we were gathering like in about maybe not 20, but around 20 people for the meetings. So it was quite nice. And I was happy about it. But about some plans for now, it's just to stay in contact and just to be a team, just for ourselves if the project is dropped.
Thank you. Now I have Fasifere.
Miruna Fasifere, Romania. Having in mind that the NIMS were enthusiastic about the action groups, do you believe that dropping the idea had a negative outcome on the IMP project?
Alexandra?
Alexandra, Central IMP Coordinator. I still think like I can agree with the with dropping the project. That, as I said, it's not efficient because we had a lot of platforms that we can use for searching for placements, internships. So it's like instead of keeping the project, and it would be nice to have some this active NIMS to do another work, but like the idea of project, it doesn't it's not possible, I think.
Thank you. Now I have Anif.
Okay, so Nina, Annette France, sorry for the camera, I have internet issues, can't use it. So this year we've had trouble finding IMP partners because of the lack of structures of the placements. Are you planning to add structure to the program? Thank you.
Alexandra?
I think sorry, Alexandra, Central IMP Coordinator. I think I heard it correctly, but if you mean like structuring IMP now, like I don't think it's possible for now. Like it was structured, but in a way that it wasn't efficient. But for now, it's not possible, I guess.
Okay. Are there any more questions for Alexandra? I guess not, so we can move on to the next point. That's the Mobility Coordinator report. Here we have the same situation with two reports from Christian for his period of the mandate and from Ines for her period of the mandate. I open the floor for questions. KMPSV?
Kathy, KPC Netherlands. In your report, you mentioned that there were initially 13 EPSA pairs, and you mentioned that 2 of them dropped, and that 4 of them are organizing a e-twinnet right now. Do you know what happened to the rest of them? Thank you.
Yes.
English Mobility Coordinator, thank you for your question. Yes, I was checking these on the threads of the email, and what I could find on the email is that one of the pairs, the EPSA part, had some struggles regarding the coordinator of their e-twinnet that was not someone from the member association, something like that, so they kind of dropped it. And the other pair was not receiving any answers from EPSA part 2, so it was dropped. But I just could find these on the email threads. It was not happening after I was elected. But yeah, I was checking to see how the interprofessional twinnets were going, and I could find that information. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more comments or questions on this report? I think not, so we can move on to the next point, the report of the Professional Affairs Coordinator. And for this one, I will pass facilitation to Era.
Thank you. Thank you, Bianca. So I open the floor for questions on this report. KMPSV.
Kathy, KPC Netherlands. Well, there were like 118 applicants for the mentoring project, and eventually like around 50 participants, I think, if I remember correctly. I was wondering if these participants that didn't get placed this year but might be interesting last year, will you get in contact with them, or do they have to register like again? Oh, sorry, I was confused by the comments. So I was wondering, will you get in touch with them or the professional affairs coordinator, or will they have to apply again? And if they apply again, do they get any sort of like preference since they applied last year as well? Thank you.
Susanna.
Susanna, professional affairs coordinator. So the people who were who didn't get elected as mentees last edition, they got all the necessary information about different projects that they could enroll, and people who were like asking further what was wrong with their application or where did they lose the points, they got all the instruction on how to improve their chances to get into the project next year. At the moment, we do not have like specific guidelines on giving points to people who were applying already, but they have the instructions on how to improve their application. So I hope that this will make it better for them.
Thank you, Susanna. APEF.
Luciana, APEF, Portugal. I just wanted to know if you are satisfied with the attendance of the last career week, and if not, what do you think it could have been done in order to increase the number of participants? Thank you.
Susanna.
Susanna, professional affairs coordinator. We didn't have too many like presence activities. There was chat with professionals, which was sufficient number of students in order to fulfill the breakout rooms and have the nice conversations with the professionals. And the training sessions, however, I was not in charge of the training sessions, but Ruben was, and he knows more about it. In general, I was a bit not satisfied with the quiz, the number of participants in the quiz. But I am aware that it might be because of the lower promotion of the different publications, and I think it was also my mistake due to the fact that I had some personal and health issues before the career week.
Thank you, Susanna. Apef?
Luciana Apef, Portugal. Also, just to thank you regarding the mentoring project, because we have really good feedback from students and mentees about that. So really thanks for doing a great job on this.
Thank you, Apef. I have no one else on the speaking list for now. Do we have any other comments or questions? I see none. Thank you, Susanna, once again. And now we can move on to the European Affairs Department. And we can start with the Vice President of European Affairs report. And I open the floor for questions. KMPSV?
Kathy, KMPSV Netherlands. I was wondering if you plan to follow up on the online sales of prescription medicine, or will this be done by your successor? Thank you.
Jess?
Jess VPA. I decided not to because I did not think that we had enough time to focus on professional aspects, and it was more important to focus on other things that were more applicable to students. And I haven't discussed this with my successor yet about whether she would like to continue this, but we will be making an advocacy strategy together in the next 2 months anyway. So if you want, you can follow up on that, or sorry, your successor can follow up on that at the 6/1 team meeting.
Thank you, Jess. Any other comments or questions? I see none. KMPSV?
Kathy, KPSV Netherlands. Well, I was wondering, because you gave the webinar on the immunization on pharmacist-delivered vaccination. I was just wondering how this event was, because I couldn't attend, sadly, during last week.
Jess?
Jess VPA. I can see you typing Jessica on the corner of the screen. The webinar was good. So that was me and 3 professionals from community pharmacy associations that were speaking about pharmacist-delivered vaccination. So that was interesting. There were about 70 participants, so it wasn't too bad for online turnout. And then the roundtable was more of a discussion between professionals, and there were some students there listening. But it was mostly a discussion to see what the national associations for community pharmacy were doing on behalf of advocating for pharmacist-delivered vaccination, which might have been a bit complex for students, but it was a good event, yeah.
Thank you, Jess. Any other comments or questions? Going once, going twice. And I see none. Thank you, Jess, once again. And now we can move on to the report for grant coordinator. I open the floor for questions. Do we have any questions for grant coordinator? Going once, going twice. I see none. And next we move on to Policy Affairs Coordinator. And I open the floor for questions. Do we have any comments or questions? AFOP?
Annika, AFAP Austria. What do you think is the reason for the low attendance of the policy workshop during the AA 2020? Thank you.
Piotr?
Piotr, Policy Affairs. I don't know why nobody signed in for the workshop. It's like I didn't ask any other participants why they did not attend, so it's really hard to answer.
Thank you, Piotr. KMPSV.
Jason, KMPSV Netherlands. The policy newsletter was promoted on Facebook and Twitter, but not on Instagram. Later, you wrote that it would be better if it was promoted on Instagram, but why was this not the first case? Thank you.
Piotr?
Piotr, Policy Affairs. So each time if I want to promote policy newsletter, I have to check the social media platforms in the form, in the PR form that I submit, and I always have Instagram there, but it's not showing up there. So maybe it's just for another PR department and policy coordinator to share the newsletter on the Instagram as well, because some people use Facebook, some people use Instagram, and the more we share, it's better.
Thank you, Piotr. APEF?
Luciana, APEF Portugal. Have you thought about a different approach on the advocacy workshops or any strategy to make it more appealing to more students? Thank you.
Piotr?
Piotr, Policy Affairs. So I really did not put much effort into thinking how to make them really approachable during the events, as we don't have any event, even online or neither online or live. And this will be probably moved mainly to the advocacy platform coordinator. But the advocacy workshops held for the member associations that requested the need of advocacy workshop gave a very good feedback, so I think that's fine.
Thank you, Piotr. Jess?
Just Jess VPA, just to give a slight variation on this question. This is kind of the whole role of the new position to make sure that advocacy is extended from the advocacy platform to members of national associations, because we need our representatives to be understanding of, how important advocacy is and the different topics that we should focus on before reaching out to students more, so that the knowledge transfer is more sufficient. So hopefully the new position will be able to bring us more in touch with national members.
Thank you, Jess. Fasafara?
Miruna, FSFR Romania. First of all, we want to congratulate you for your hard work. And secondly, do you have any ideas in mind for the future of the policy toolkit?
Piotr?
Piotr, Policy Affairs. So thank you for your kind words. And regarding policy toolkit, I will discuss the whole idea with my successor, Fatoumata. But I think we will go for the option 2, and we will focus on more specific topics and the first topic that was chosen was vaccination, so I think we can focus on that.
KMPSV.
Kathy, KPC Netherlands. Well, the mental health survey was just closed, I think this week. So I was wondering, what will you do as a follow-up? This could also be answered to Jess by Jess. I'm not sure who would have a better answer for this.
Piotr.
Piotr, Policy Affairs. So now I will prepare a survey report, and based on that, we will create a position paper. That's the main actions that we'll be taking after closing the survey.
Thank you, Piotr. Jess?
Jess VPA. From my perspective, there's a big mental health event from the Commission on the 10th of May. So this aligns with European Mental Health Week. And I've registered for that as of yesterday. Registrations are open for anyone that's interested. I did try to reach out to get EPSA a spot on the panel discussions, however, did not work out, and European Students Union is on the panel instead. But apart from this, we're working with Mental Health Europe, as you know, so we need to follow up with them and see how we can advocate more with the survey report and position. So that will be done in the next couple of months.
Thank you, Jess. I have no one else on the speaking list. Do we have any comments or questions? I see none. And since the next point is the Parliamentary Council, I pass the facilitation to Mihai.
Thank you, Era. So with that, I open the floor for questions on the report of the PC.
Annika, AFIP Austria. You mentioned keeping the deadlines of the minutes in your report. This mandate, a lot of the minutes or outcomes after the resignation of the Secretary General have been late. Did you ever intervene when you noticed that the deadlines were not being kept? Yeah. Thank you.
Bianca?
Bianca, parliamentarian. Yes, after I also kept in touch with Daniela while delivering minutes before her resignation and asked for minutes. And also after outcomes started to be shared, I started asking during the OEMs if those outcomes are about to be delivered to the LSs. And we still miss some outcomes to some OEMs.
Thank you. KNPSV?
Kathy, KPC Netherlands. I think this was the first year that also the PC member 1 and PC member 2 had to be like CC'd in practically every email we sent to, for example, one of the other team members. And I was kind of wondering if this was found to be beneficial, or because it seems like a lot to read, and I'm not sure if it's. I was just wondering if you see the benefit of this. Thank you.
Bianca?
Bianca, parliamentarian, thank you for your question. Yes, it is an improvement to have PC members CC'd in as many emails as possible, so they are aware of what is happening. I can say that with the emails, some workload shifted, and some of the way that PC supervises the departments should be changed a bit, because it is more workload for one member and less for another. Indeed, there are emails that do not require our attention, but we need to keep track of everything that's happening and to just spot if something needs our attention and just be aware of things. Hope I answered.
Thank you. And on that, we have nothing else on the speaking list. If there are no other questions, then I guess we can proceed to the motion. The 61st EPSA General Assembly accepts the Parliamentary Council Annual Congress Report 2020-2021. I open the floor for discussion. I close the floor for discussion on the motion. And now please cast your vote for, against, or abstain in the chat. Okay, we have 20 votes for, none against, no abstentions. Motion was carried unanimously. And with this, I pass the facilitation back to PC.
Thank you, Mihai. Next point, we have the Audit Committee report. And I open the floor for questions. I see none, and we can proceed to the motion. I open the floor for discussion on the motion. Yes, apologies. The motion reads, the 61st EPSA General Assembly accepts the Audit Committee Annual Congress Report 2020-2021. So I open the floor for discussion on the motion. Mihai with the technical.
Mihai, President, I close the floor for discussion on the motion.
Thank you, Mihai. And now you can write for, against, or abstain in the chat. There are 23 so far, so we need one more vote. Do we have another vote? Okay, then we'll go for 23 votes for, 0 against, and 0 abstentions. And next we have the EPSA. The motion was carried. And next we have the EPSA Interns Activity Report. I open the floor for questions on the report. I see no questions, then we can proceed to the motion. The motion reads as follows. The 61st EPSA General Assembly accepts the Interns Activity Report 2020-2021. I open the floor for discussion on the motion. Mihai with technical.
Mihai, President, I close the floor for discussion on the motion.
Thank you, Mihai. And now you can proceed to vote on the motion. Please write for, against, or abstain in the chat. We need one more vote, same as last time. Or we'll just proceed with 23 votes for, 0 against, and 0 abstentions. The motion was carried unanimously. And these were all the points in the agenda for today. Mihai with technical.
Mihai, President, so when putting together the agenda, I expected to be overtime at this point and not earlier with 20 minutes. And this is why I left the motions to approve the reports of the executive and the coordinators for the next day. Would you agree to also vote those today and to be done completely with reports today? Then we can start tomorrow morning with financial matters and everything else on the agenda. Perfect, I see agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mihai. Then we can proceed on the motions for approval. First, we have Mihai with technical.
Mihai, President, I would like to ask Maiva to read the roll call because the number of votes we've been getting is not consistent with what we should have.
Thank you, Mihai.
Okay, everyone gets ready, please. Apostrophe IVFSO Belgium, BPHSA Bulgaria, CPSA Croatia, CZPSA Czech Republic, FIPSA Finland, ANEP France, BPHD Germany, GPSF Greece, IPSA Ireland, SFD Lithuania, K.N.P.S.V. the Netherlands, NOPSA Norway, PPSA Poland, APF Portugal, FASEFER Romania, NAPSOR Serbia, SPSA Slovakia, SFD Slovenia, FEF Spain, SNAP Sweden, ASEF Switzerland, UPSA International Turkey, and BPSA United Kingdom. I'm counting 22. Can PC confirms that to me, please?
Yes, it's only 22.
Okay, 22 it is then. Please vote, please.
Thank you, Maeva. And I can proceed to read the motion. My apologies, had to cough. The 61st EPSA General Assembly accepts the following Executive Annual Congress Reports 2020-2021. President, Secretary General, Treasurer, Vice President of Internal Affairs, Vice President of Education, Vice President of Public Relations, Vice President of External Relations, and Vice President of European Affairs. And now I open the floor for discussion on the motion. I see no points. Mihai with the technical.
Mihai, President, I close the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Mihai. And now you can vote for, against, or abstain in the chat. Since we have 23 votes, I will draw another line, and please only the ones that were present at the roll call vote. Once again, for, against, or abstain. Thank you. We have 22 votes for, 0 against, and 0 abstentions. The motion was carried unanimously. And now we'll move on to the next motion, which is for the coordinator's report. The 61st EPSA General Assembly accepts the following coordinators' annual Congress reports 2020-2021. Events Coordinator, Alumni Coordinator, Chairperson of the 43rd EPSA Annual Congress, Educational Affairs Coordinator, Public Health and Social Services Coordinator, Science Coordinator, Training Coordinator, Design Coordinator, Information Technology Coordinator, Publications Coordinator, Social Media Coordinator, Mobility Coordinator, Central IMP Coordinator, Professional Affairs Coordinator, Policy Affairs Coordinator, and Grant Coordinator. I open the floor for discussion on the motion. Mihai with technical.
Mihai, President, I close the floor for discussion on the motion.
Thank you, Mihai. I believe there is no need to read the motion again. You can vote for, against, or abstain in the chat. I only have 21 votes. Please pay attention. And I will draw another line in the chat. Vote again. Apef?
Luciana Apef, Portugal. I just want to know if the ex-mobility coordinator and VP are also considered on this. Thank you.
Bianca with a point of information.
Bianca, parliamentarian, yes, for the ER VP of External Relations, yes, the report was considered along with the successor, and here also the reports go one with the other. So we don't have a gap in reports and to have a complete mandate.
Thank you, Bianca. I hope that clarifies. And I will go with Bianca's technical. So we'll go for 21 votes, 21 votes for, 0 against and 0 abstentions. The motion was carried unanimously. Mihai with the technical.
Mihai, President, I promise I will not ask you to take any more tonight. Let's have Maeva performing a roll call and then we can end for today.
Thank you, Mihai. Maeva.
Yes, thank you for this last roll call session. Until tomorrow, I will have AFAP Austria, VFSO Belgium, BPHSA Bulgaria, CPSA Croatia, CZPSA Czech Republic, FIPSA Finland, ANEP France, VPHD Germany, GPSF Greece, IPSA Ireland, SFD Lithuania, K.N.P.S.V. the Netherlands, NUPSA Norway, PPSA Poland, APEF Portugal, FASFA Romania, NAPSOR Serbia, SPSA Slovakia, FSF Slovenia, FEF Spain, SNAP Sweden, ASEP Switzerland, EUPSA International Turkey, and BPSA United Kingdom. "23 voting members."
Thank you, and I suspend the standing orders. Now, if my memory serves me right,